What if nothing in your life is actually going wrong, even when it feels like it is? What if every delay, every setback, and every unexpected turn is part of a pattern that you simply can't see yet? It's a strange idea, because when things don't go to plan, the natural reaction is frustration. We assume something has gone wrong, that life has taken a wrong turn, or that things should have happened differently. But what if that assumption isn't always true? Think about your own life for a moment. There have probably been situations that felt disappointing at the time, where something didn't work out, an opportunity slipped away, or a plan completely fell apart. Yet later, sometimes much later, you realized that if things had gone the way you originally wanted, you wouldn't have ended up where you are now, and in many cases, where you are now makes far more sense than where you thought you wanted to be back then. This is where the question becomes interesting. What if life is not just a series of random events, but something that unfolds in a way that only becomes clear when you look back? The philosopher Alan Watts once suggested that life is not a problem to be solved, but an experience to be lived. When you believe everything must go according to plan, every unexpected change feels like a mistake. But when you begin to see life as something unfolding, those same moments can start to feel like part of a much larger process. Imagine reading a book where every chapter goes exactly as expected, with no surprises, no tension, and no unexpected turns. It would feel predictable and eventually quite dull. What makes a story meaningful is not the absence of difficulty, but the way events unfold in ways you couldn't have predicted. In many ways, your life works in a similar way. The moments that feel confusing, frustrating, or even painful often become the very moments that shape your direction in ways you couldn't have planned. Think about how many times something didn't work out, only for something else to appear later that felt more aligned. A missed opportunity may lead to a better one. A setback may force you to develop a new skill, and a delay may place you in the right place at the right time. At the time, those moments rarely feel positive, and they often feel like obstacles. But with distance, they can reveal a completely different meaning. This doesn't mean every difficult experience is easy to accept. Some moments are genuinely challenging, and it's completely natural to feel frustration or disappointment. The idea here is not to deny those feelings, but to recognize that the full meaning of an event is not always visible in the moment it happens. The scientist Albert Einstein spoke about how our perception of time is limited. We experience life moment by moment, but we cannot immediately see how those moments connect into a larger pattern. It is like looking at a single piece of a puzzle and trying to understand the entire picture. Without seeing the full image, it's easy to assume the piece doesn't fit, but when the puzzle comes together, that same piece suddenly makes perfect sense. Life often works in a similar way. You experience events one at a time, without knowing how they will connect in the future. And this can create a sense of uncertainty, as though things are happening without clear direction. But what if there is a pattern, even if you can't see it yet? What if the moments that feel like detours are actually guiding you towards something you haven't fully realized? This perspective doesn't require blind belief. It simply invites curiosity. Instead of immediately labeling something as good or bad, you begin to ask a different question. What might this lead to? That question alone can change how you experience challenges, because instead of seeing them as final outcomes, you begin to see them as part of an unfolding process. For example, imagine losing an opportunity you were certain was right for you. In the moment, it feels disappointing, perhaps even unfair, but that experience might push you to explore a different path, one you might never have considered otherwise. Months or years later, you might look back and realize that the path you ended up on fits you far better than the one you originally planned. At the time, it didn't feel like things were happening as they should, but in hindsight, it often appears that way. This shift in perspective can also bring a sense of calm, because if everything is not required to go perfectly according to your expectations, there is less pressure to control every outcome. You can still plan, still work towards your goals, and still make decisions, but you are no longer relying on every detail going exactly as expected. In order to feel at ease, there is space for uncertainty, and within that space, there is room for unexpected possibilities. Another interesting aspect of this idea is how it changes your relationship with the present moment. When you believe everything must go according to plan, it is easy to become frustrated with anything that disrupts that plan. But when you consider that life might be unfolding in a way you don't fully understand yet, those disruptions can feel different. They become moments to observe rather than immediately resist. This doesn't mean you stop taking action or simply accept everything without question. It means you remain open to the possibility that not everything needs to make sense immediately. Some things reveal their meaning over time, and that sense of openness can make life feel less like a constant struggle and more like a process of discovery. You start noticing how often unexpected events lead to meaningful outcomes, how often conversations happen at just the right time, and how often small decisions create larger shifts than you initially realized. These patterns may not always be obvious in the moment, but they often become clear when you look back. Perhaps the most comforting part of this perspective is that it allows you to trust the process of your own life a little more, not in a way that removes responsibility, but in a way that reduces unnecessary worry. Because if everything must be controlled perfectly, life can feel exhausting, but if there is space for things to unfold naturally, there is also space to breathe, to adapt, and to move forward without constant tension. So the next time something doesn't go the way you expected, pause for a moment and consider a different possibility. Instead of immediately assuming something has gone wrong, ask yourself whether this moment might be part of something you don't fully understand yet. You may not have the answer right away, but sometimes simply asking that question changes how the moment feels. And over time, those moments begin to connect in ways that make more sense than you could have imagined at the beginning. Thank you for watching, and if this gave you a new perspective on life and the way events unfold, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.